Welcome back to the Cover 3 podcast here on CBS Sports. That's Tom Fornelli. That's Bud Elliott. I'm Chip Patterson, coming to you live at youtube.com/cover3 and everywhere you get your podcast on demand. Thanks for hanging out. All y'all that are, smash the subscribe, smash the like, and come and hang out in the chat. We are reacting to week 0, which is still in action. USC currently holding a 49-21 lead. I got to be honest. We said 10:30 Eastern time because we thought that USC would have this thing put away and Caleb Williams would be on the sideline. That was not the case. San Jose State had something to say about that, but Miller Moss is in and we are live. Vandy also in action, delayed start, and it's also been delayed in terms of us being able to see what we were expecting. We'll get into that in a little bit. Currently, FIU leading early third quarter. I guess third quarter is about to start, 17-13 on the road in Ruston at Louisiana Tech. Lots to get to. UMass snapping their road woes. Jacksonville State getting a win in their first FBS game. But San Diego State also taking advantage of a backup quarterback situation, which is a little bit unfortunate for a wagon, which has lost its axle. You want to go live? I mean, we've been watching USC. We've been waiting to see what's going to happen here. So, can we start with the Trojans? Is that cool with y'all?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
All right. It's great to have Bud Elliott here because the thing that stands out to me is that recruiting matters. And recruiting matters because when you are the number 7 player in the class of 2023, when you are the number 1 wide receiver in the class of 2023, when you are a legitimate track star and you are able to secure the commitment of that player, of course, I'm talking about Zach Branch, who had over 230 yards of all-purpose offense and special teams in this game. Difference maker, man. I mean, Bud, did you know that he was going to have this kind of instant impact? Because I even said on this podcast, I had Deuce Robinson as my overall freshman that I was looking at. Oops. Like, Zach Branch has got a better chance to be able to be a freshman of the year in the Pac-12 than anybody else, and that's my week 0 overreaction.
It's also easier to make an impact at receiver than tight end. Typically, the further away you get from the ball, the easier it is. But yeah, like, guys, if y'all have been subscribed to our Cover 3 Podcast YouTube channel, you would have seen the YouTube short we made back in, I think, January or February, whenever that was. We're like, hey, we don't drop the Tyreek Hill comparison lightly, but track speed, instant on speed. You guys ever drove a Tesla? You know, it's like top speed right when you drop the hammer. That's kind of this kid, man. Like, he's just, there's not a lot of buildup to the giddy up. It's just all go first step. And you saw it tonight. At one point, he had more all-purpose yards than San Jose State had total yards. He's just, yeah, like, look, will other defenses find a way to contain him? It's San Jose State. I get it. But in open space, if you actually let him get the ball in open space, every defense in the country is in trouble.
You want a week 0 overreaction? Here's one.
Yeah.
Open space, Zach Branch. Maybe it's the uniform, but the way he moves in open space and makes guys miss, I got strong Reggie Bush vibes watching him tonight.
Yeah.
No, 100%. And it helps that there's not names on the back of the jerseys.
Mm-hmm.
It's true.
That's very dumb. It's a very dumbed down take, but it's one of the reasons that the USC jerseys are so timeless. Okay, so now let's pick it apart a little bit. We're very excited about Zach Branch. We are still concerned that this game was so close, right?
It's about to be a lot further away.
Yeah. But
Deuce Robinson, 35-yard catch. Chip.
Listen,
your pick ain't done.
There were some sideline shots of Alex Grinch that were not for the, sacks and tackles for loss that we saw in the third quarter and the fourth quarter. There were some sideline shots of Alex Grinch that were because this USC defense was bleeding out for portions of the first half. Arm tackles are still there. Are you concerned? Where's our level of concern for this USC defense right now?
It's played better in the second half. I will
agree.
give it credit for that. But the concern for me when I'm watching this unit is a lot of the same problems you saw last year were very evident in the first half. And I feel like this is a defense where if they get penetration in the backfield, like if they pressure the quarterback or they get to the running back, for a tackle for a loss, like they're good. But if they don't, they stink. Like, and they also have problems with mobile quarterbacks. Like Cordero, when he's not running backwards and instead is running forwards, has been giving them a lot of trouble tonight. And it's just, yeah, it is a lot of the same kind of stuff. A lot of run fit problems, a lot of contain problems, a lot of arm tackles. It's been better in the second half, but overall, it's not the kind of defense where I'm very confident. So I don't know. I'd like to see more of a pass rush. They are getting pressure, but they're not getting home. But that could just mostly be Cordero's ability to just kind of run around and save himself. But yeah, when they start playing the better teams on their schedule, it's going to be a problem.
I agree with that for the most part, but they don't play the better teams on their schedule for 6 weeks. Like the first team that you think can actually beat them, if they don't play well, is Notre Dame, and that's October 14th. I mean, you have 6 games before that, and I think a bye week, an early one, if I'm reading this right. Yeah, after Stanford. USC has had kind of a banged-up camp, so I'm reserving judgment a little, like especially on the defensive side. Like I'm reserving judgment a little bit, but certainly they do not look like they've taken a leap. They may take a leap later on in the season. I guess we'll just kind of have to monitor the situation. But also, like I give credit to Cordero. Like that guy's a good G5 quarterback. I took USC first half tonight because I thought without Lockhart that San Jose really might be in some trouble. And like they didn't pass the ball super well in the first half. The Nick Nash kid, the former quarterback, actually played really well for them. So I do want to give some credit to those guys. Like granted, like the narrative is going to be USC, and it probably should be. They're a national title contender, I guess. Maybe not with that defense.
No.
But like
yeah,
San Jose actually played
an overreaction is like, yeah, they have a 6 beside their name, but no one's putting them closer to 4 than they are to 10 based on at least what
Correct.
we saw on the end. Again,
yeah.
An admitted overreaction. But if you thought that they were close to being a playoff team, that does not look like a group that is going to go through. Because you mentioned October 14th, but that also means that it is banger after banger after banger after banger. Like being able to go through against the best offenses in the Pac-12 all at the end of your schedule when you might be facing some attrition issues. You might be a little bit banged up. Like this was not a encouraging performance, but as they have just scored another touchdown, they've got, if they score 56 points a game, like
that's
I don't know what to do about it.
That's the thing. Their defense, the way the defense is playing, this is not a team that can win a national title, but the way the offense is playing, this is a team that can get to the playoff.
Well, yeah, it's like a Lincoln Riley Oklahoma team that has the number 109 defense, but is in the college football playoff and just won the Pac-12, the Big 12. Yeah. Anything else from that game that stand out? We want to highlight.
The Caleb Williams touchdown pass, in which they dropped the snap, he picked it up, kind of just rolled to his right, and then fired the ball 50 yards in the air without taking a step forward.
That's the clip they're going to show on the NFL
like,
draft.
Oh yeah, that guy. Yeah.
Do we take him for granted? Is it possible? No. Okay. All right.
I think he's being outshined by Branch in this game. I don't think Caleb's been terrific in this game. Although again, he was kind of, just for Caleb Williams, he was kind of and he finished with 278 yards and 4 touchdowns. But yeah, he's really freaking good. But this was a basic game plan for the Trojans tonight. I don't think they're really taking the Ferrari out of the garage here.
I like being able to, with a player that I have, who's been around, because look, Caleb flashed at Oklahoma. We knew at Oklahoma, we're like, wow, this is something that is like pretty special, generational talent type stuff. He obviously lived up to those expectations last year, but when you get those moments, I try to at least still savor them, because it's pretty cool when we do get them here in college football. I like this comment, by the way, from Andrew, a little bit of a deep cut. Andrew says, I can play Zach Branch at quarterback in EA college football 2024 if Caleb doesn't want to be in it.
I was already telling my friends, I was like, listen, if you get the chance to draft Zach Branch in your fantasy league 3 years from now, I really recommend you do it.
I love being able to drop that right here on August 26th, 2023. All right. The first game of the day, it was in a standalone position. We got all of our eyes on it. It was Notre Dame absolutely thumping Navy. 5 offensive possessions. We're in this, weird screen right here on YouTube. Led to 5 touchdowns. Too small, too little, too slow?
Yes.
Or okay, all right. That is you live blog this game, Tom. I'm gonna let you get first word on it.
I tweeted at the very beginning of this game, watching it. I said, if Notre Dame wants to run the ball, touchdown, San Jose State. If Notre Dame wants to run the ball for 400 yards today, it can.
Yeah.
Because that offensive line was just absolutely blowing Navy's defensive front up on every single snap. It was just shoving them around. And that was really what the first 2 possessions were. They were just kind of running the ball down their throat with Audric Estime. And then they were like, well, we do have Sam Hartman, so we should probably show him off a little bit. So like they started throwing more after that. I just think, if you're a Notre Dame fan, you should be very happy with what you saw today. You probably shouldn't read too much into it because Navy is just, they do not have the guys that could compete with that Notre Dame team. And then also you throw in Newberry's first game as a head coach, a new offense trying to work in some wrinkles against a team that is just bigger, stronger, and faster than they are. Getting behind early puts Navy in a spot where Navy is not comfortable being in, where they have to play from behind. So things really did snowball. Like, I don't think Navy is as bad as the final score suggests, and I don't think Notre Dame is as good as the final score suggests. But I do think Notre Dame is good. I do think Sam Hartman played very well. They spread the ball around. Like, we talked about how they did not have a ton of options last year in the passing game. It felt like it was Michael Mayer or bust. There were 8 dudes who caught passes today. They had young guys at the Jadens and Greathouse and Colsey who played, or not Colsey, but Thomas who played well. Colsey played well. Like, that's a team that I think is a lot more explosive and a lot more dangerous this year than the Notre Dame team we saw last year. So that's very interesting. I will say the one concern I have, Navy did not have a quarterback who can exploit it, but Navy was getting guys open in that Notre Dame secondary, and Lavatai was just absolutely missing them. When they play like, Brendan Armstrong at NC State, or they get to the Ohio State game, or they're playing Klubnik and Clemson and those guys, that could really come back to bite them in the ass.
All right, I want to say the Navy piece first. They're definitely outgunned here, right? It was very clear when you match those 2 up on the field. I do think that Navy's going to make a bowl.
Ooh.
Like, get Navy to conference season. I think they have a real shot to do it. Like, I think what they do plays a hell of a lot better when they're not physically overwhelmed. And one of the things you can tell when somebody's physically overwhelmed is go look at that rushing success rate, right? How often are they picking up what they want to, imposing their will? This is like, we'll talk about the sicko mode thing in a second, but this is sicko mode by Notre Dame. 66% rushing success rate, and that includes the garbage time and the backups they put in. Like, that is ridiculous. Anything over 50 is really nice. 66% is just absurd. So if you didn't watch the ball game, maybe you did do the farmer's market thing, whatever. They really just pushed Navy around the entire game. Like, their people moved Navy's people. And then Navy's like, oh, we need to add more people because our people are getting moved. And Sam Hartman's like, oh, Thomas, Greathouse, cool, let's do this thing. And you know what? Let's credit those guys. Let's put Mike on the screen here, our resident Notre Dame fan. Those guys actually made play. Now, a lot of them were pretty open, but those guys made some plays on some of those contested catches, which I did not see them making last year. But also, I didn't see them get open as much last year. So good job getting open. Good job making contested catches. And Sam Hartman, like, hey, man, knocking down the open threes, knocking at the layups. That's the start you wanted. Does it prove Notre Dame can hang with the really elite teams? No. Does it show that they're pretty clearly better than they were last year? I think so. Like, I still have a couple questions about this team. We'll get to it, but I definitely think they're a better team than they were last year.
By the way, too, like, Marcus Freeman said something after the game that really stood out to me. When he was asked about Sam Hartman, and he was saying the typical stuff, he played really well, blah, blah, blah. But he said the one thing he said that kind of just, he said he's really good at being able to read a defense before the snap and understand what he's looking at. Which to me felt like an indirect kind of shot where Marcus Freeman was like, last year we had a couple of guys who had absolutely no idea what they were looking at when they looked at the defense across from them. And it's nice to have a quarterback with experience who can read the defense.
You mean the backup at Arizona State and the backup at Alabama?
Yeah.
The third stringer at Alabama.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So what is the ceiling for Notre Dame? Like that's, we there's the, when you see it early and we all saw it early, the game is different. Like the script changes, the way you call it changes. You mentioned, Bud, you defensively, you have to react differently. It opens things up. But if I'm gonna, be the cold shower here, what did we see from Sam Hartman? The stat line looks good. Can we nitpick? Because, Colsey's diving back for the out route. He's, Greathouse is kind of having to stutter step a little bit just to be able to pull in the score.
The one deep ball he was way late on.
Like
in the end zone early. Yeah.
I mean, again, I think I might have said this on the chat, but it was like, I know he is going to end up with a fantastic stat line, but I still am like, okay, we'll see. And some of it might have been the calls, just sort of the way that it played out. They see the soft coverage. We're just going to go to the easy throws. Like I am never going to get that hung up on being able to just take the easy throws. But I don't know. What's the ceiling here for Notre Dame's offense?
Well,
35 points per game. I mean, like,
I think they could be like a top 15, top 12 opponent adjusted offense in the country.
Maybe. I think that is very good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I mean, the offenses that you think are definitely better than them. Ohio State, Michigan, possibly Penn State. We'll see if Alara plays to the ceiling. Yes. North Carolina, Florida State, possibly Clemson, right? Like if Riley gets them really turned around. USC, Oregon, Washington, probably Texas. But again, we got to see. Texas, like we all believe in you, but we kind of need to see that thing. And then a couple, like Georgia's probably still better. Probably LSU.
Carson Beck's about to win the Heisman.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
So I think I just named off 10.
Yeah. They're going to be so much more difficult to defend this year because you have to defend the run in the pass.
Oh, Tennessee. Yeah.
You can't just load the box and force Drew Pine to do something. You actually have to defend the entire field again, which makes every offense better.
That's fair. And when even if you take Navy out and you put in another opponent on the schedule, that offensive line is still phenomenal.
Yes. When are they tested?
Right? Yeah. Like against average FBS competition, against above average FBS competition, we're still talking about one of the best teams at the offensive line and being able to run that ball. And dude, Asime does such a good job of just getting downhill and making you pay. It is a fantastic ground game that they're able to build off of.
Yeah, on a weekly basis, except for the Ohio State and Clemson games, they should easily have their offensive line should easily win every matchup that they have. Those are the only two games.
Next game.
Oh, Chip, how do you do it? Is it two fingers, one finger, the little wolf pack thing?
Oh, it's this one. Yeah.
Okay,
I like it. I like NC State's defensive line. I think Notre Dame's offensive line is better.
Well, maybe I'm just saying that if we're ranking the defensive fronts, and let me count the linebackers in there as well.
That'd be the third best one they're facing.
Yeah.
They will face more passing downs against NC State than they will be comfortable with. And Hartman will need to convert some 3rd and 8 type situations, probably, unless NC State's offense, which, I mean, I think NC State's offense is a lot better, but, there's certainly some chance that, that they're not. And then maybe they'll just be able to run the ball. But they won't have a 66% rushing success rate in any game remaining this year, except for maybe next week, Tennessee State.
Yeah, that's right. It's not next week. They play Tennessee State, Eddie George.
The next FBS game. Yeah, is it Eddie George? Look at that.
Eddie George, head coach right there.
All right. Notre Dame fans.
We are at 28. Oh, anything else on Notre Dame Navy before we keep it moving?
I just like Andrew's comment that so it's a too small, too little, too slow deal for a respectable Navy defense, but it's a love fest for USC and Branch. Yeah, Navy and San Jose State, same thing.
San Jose State's like a top 4 team in its conference.
I know it's the same.
Yeah, no, San Jose. I got too much respect for Brent Brennan. Come on, dog. Let's go. I got 28-14 for the Doors right now. We have the Doors righted the ship. Is the anchor down or is the anchor up? Are we drifting?
Who got the unsportsmanlike penalty? Was it Vandy or was it Hawaii just now?
It was Vandy. It was on Will Shepard.
Oh no. I shut down my extra screens because it was
Will Shepard is on kickoff coverage team.
It says, well, maybe they got the wrong
Stat
number.
Broadcast does some weird stuff once in a while. With this.
It might have some. It might be a double number situation.
Or like a 14 that is also on defense type situation. Before we hit a quick break right here, I mean, a lot of ball game left. We can revisit it because listen, you're right. UMass New Mexico State bananas. The end of Jacksonville State UTEP. The UTEP loss to Jacksonville State, not the Jacksonville State win over UTEP. I want to get to all of those things, but let's just do a quick check-in, check the temperature. Are we drifting? Does the anchor need to go down so that we're not drifting? How are we feeling about the Doors through, I guess, 35 minutes of 2023?
They got off to a slow start against Hawaii last year too, right? And then just kind of turned it on in the second half.
And they won by like 45.
Yeah. I mean, it's the opening game.
This is kind of about what I expected, honestly. I thought they would be ahead by 14. They were ahead by 7 in the first half, but I mean, they had a decent yards per play advantage. I think they had the kickoff return, much better team speed now on special teams, obviously.
Yes.
Like Barton talked about over the summer when we had him on, right? It's like, I think our GPS numbers are much better now. Hawaii improved a lot during the last 8 games last year down the stretch. I think that Hawaii is doing a better job. Well, not a better job. How do I say this? They're more comfortable with the run and shoot now, right? Like that is a pretty new offense for them. It's going back to the roots of what June Jones kind of ran. And I mean, it's pretty clear that they have a lot more comfort operating that system than they did last year. So I think that's a hard thing to rep in practice, by the way.
I'm concerned about the other side of the ball. I think that Hawaii living in Vanderbilt's offensive backfield is not good.
7 tackles for loss and 3 sacks in the third quarter.
They had the same thing last year, and they found a way to work around it.
Was it against Hawaii?
No, but Hawaii's kid did get the waiver, by the way. The Big D tackle that we were wondering about all week. He got the 6th-year waiver, so the nose guard in the middle, he seems to matter.
Because we got 2 great wide receivers for Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
But if they don't get a chance to take advantage of their size and their speed because A.J. Swan's running for his life, it's going to be tough to be able to get those wins. We talked about that home schedule. We talked about the Missouri game, the Kentucky game. We talked about the opportunities for our Doors to go and get that win. Come on, OL. Let's step up.
Let's push some people around out there.
Listen. Take a note from Notre Dame. Let's push some people around out there. Okay.
Like it. Yeah.
We mentioned it. Coming up on the other side, Rich Rodriguez getting an FBS win for Jacksonville State. Also, lots more to unpack, including a devastating injury for Ohio, big win for San Diego State, and more. Next.
Driving into the stadium, seeing everybody tailgating, I get that ready to go feeling.
To walk through the fan section over there and see that many people excited about football, so I'm really looking forward to it.
You get away from football for a little bit and then you start missing it, you get that itch again.
For me, that first catch is everything. Once I get one catch, I'm in the zone.
Getting back to football.
We can't wait.
Can't wait.
We can't wait. We can't wait.
Here I am. I am once again asking you to hit like on the video. We have a ton of people watching, and most of y'all have not liked. So why don't we go ahead and flip that? Thank you, Kenneth, for jumping in the chat and saying that as well. Also, shout out to Hank, who says, bring the bulldozers into block. And I swear, if they bring all the bulldozers and all the skid steers in to be able to step in front of defensive linemen, heck, I think Vanderbilt could win the SEC.
I don't know. Georgia's still going to be pretty tough to move.
Hawaii just converted a 4th and 9 from midfield.
Dude.
They're playing for it.
And wasn't the bomb on 4th down too? The like deep pass that ended up being a touchdown. It was like 4th and 3. And then they ended up hitting the deep shot in the first half.
Hey, I got a question for you guys. Do you know how to, if you happen to have YouTube TV and you got the 4 box going, do you know how to change what's in the boxes?
No.
I don't have YouTube TV.
I had YouTube TV for 3 weeks in March when I got the free trial for the NCAA tournament.
Nah, I'm still basic. I'm still, if a certain cable company in the Raleigh, North Carolina area wants to sponsor me or the podcast, I'll give them a shout out. But I've been a customer for a long time and just kind of riding with it right now. They got rights to all my organs, but it's okay. How about this?
Be there to get them between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m.
Rob Kraus asks Bud, any surprise St. Joe's Prep pushed IMG?
No, they do a pretty good job. And it's early in the season for IMG. Like a lot of those guys are new players each year. Like they haven't played together. It takes a little bit of time to gel. No,
Bud had no prep for that, and he had an incredible answer.
No, St. Joe's is a legitimately good team. Like
that's from Pennsylvania, the same one that had Marvin Harrison Jr. and Kyle McCord?
Yeah, that they're always going to have players. It's not like that they definitely don't suck. IMG will have more high-level players, but guys that have played together since freshman year still are going to have some continuity advantage. For example, we go out to these 7-on tournaments, and there are some where a bunch of guys who are definitely not going to go and go pro in football will probably go pro in what's the frisbee game, ultimate frisbee, right? They look like a bunch of ultimate frisbee dudes. They end up winning the 7-on-7 because they've played 7-on-7 like competitively since like the 4th grade together. And meanwhile, these teams that are stacked, all these 5-stars, get beat. Probably the same thing here.
Got it. That's how the regular high schools end up going on deep tournament runs, only to lose to in the upper room academy, as in it's the upper room that we found to be able to call the school the Upper Room Academy. That kind of
Jonathan Cox. AU Tiger 9393 says you can change it actually to different options if you scroll down and click multi-view. So
fixing it right now. There we go. All right.
Yeah, sorry.
UTEP at 3rd and 1, down 3, in scoring position. And they opted to take a deep shot at the end zone. Then they decided to go for it on 4th and short. And the quarterback, he looked at the defense, checked out. I don't know what the initial play call was, but he checked into something else. And he said, you know what we need to do? We need to throw short to the flat. And that pass was intercepted by Jeremiah Harris. And I can tell you there was elation throughout Jacksonville, Alabama, as Jacksonville State won 17-14 in its very first FBS game, in its very first Conference USA game. That is a conference win. The Conference USA standings have Jacksonville State in first place solo as we talk right now. But man, the way that they got there was just holding on for dear life after a fortunate start. The ending, the game itself, anywhere you want to go with it, there's a lot to pick at. Obviously, I don't know how much of our audience was as dialed into it as us sickos were, but when it's on the mothership, when it's a Cayusa doubleheader, and it's the week 0, this was my game today.
To be fair, I appreciate them coming through, getting us the one Lock Unity win of the week. But if Jacksonville State quarterback Zion Webb could hit a wide open receiver, the game never would have been close in the 4th quarter.
Oh, so many misses.
Like Jacksonville State had a lot of guys running free in the secondary that Zion Webb was missing by 10 yards.
He's not good. Like that's that is part of the recipe. Like you get his legs, you get his ability to operate the offense and the gives and the keeps, and then you also get the other side of the coin, which is that
He can't throw the ball down the field.
Right. Yeah, he just can't throw.
Yeah. But their running game is good. And when they're rolling with tempo and when everything's cooking, it's fine. It
The Rich Rod team.
Yeah, classic Rich
Jacksonville
Rod.
State won a game today. And I am happy for you guys that you got your Latifah. They had a 23% success rate. Not rushing, because usually rushing is kind of lower than passing. 23% success rate overall. They were outgained by like 100 yards.
UTEP staff was talking about that. I mean, shout out.
If they line up.
The GOAT, Amanda Guerra, of course, was coming through with it with her halftime report. She was like, yeah, talking to, the UTEP staff. They're feeling confident. They're outgaining them on the yards in a total yards basis.
Oops.
All right. If we had a chance to like pick that game again tomorrow after what we just watched, I would double lock up UTEP after what I saw.
No, vibes only. Come on.
No, Jacksonville State's got the will to win.
I was like, I don't know how it's going to happen. I mean, did you hear me? Did I say a single player's name in my pick?
No, you did not.
No, they're playing at home on the mothership CBS Sports Network, and Rich Rod knows you got to figure out a way to win. Jeez. He found a way not to lose. That's what he did.
Rich Rod had sweated through his shirt before the first quarter was over. It was hot.
Yeah, we do have to talk to Jacksonville State about that. I know that they're an upcoming program, don't have a ton of money, but we at least need the CUSA patch in the turf on the field to be somewhat of a similar shade to the rest of the field, right? Like paint it, do whatever we need to do. Maybe just fade it a little bit if the regular field is faded. Like you watch it, like that looks kind of weird. Like usually the greens are somewhat similar, and we do need to get the whole staff some better gear, right? Like if we get an apparel sponsorship,
it was hot. They said it's gonna be hot and good doing t-shirts. That's it.
Okay.
Got to make sure we're not overheating here in Jacksonville, Alabama on August 26th.
I understand Hardison is a good arm, and I think Hardison would be much better in a non-Dana Demmel system. But I'm not really sure he processes super fast, and he's going to get a lot of hype come draft time.
Really?
Watch. Yeah, because he did throw a lot of dimes. Like they dropped a couple really nice balls from him. Like he opened the game with that long touchdown that they called back because the kid didn't hold on to it. You had the fade ball on the 3rd and 1, and then the 4th and 1, check there. I was surprised that they didn't run either of those times. I really like after I watched the first couple drives, like, oh, UTEP's going to win this game. Like they're pushing them around pretty consistently. They're getting guys open on this play action stuff, and they just never they stalled out in the red zone. Jacksonville State just kind of bowed up, or UTEP just kind of screwed up as it was in a couple cases. But yeah, congrats to Rich Rod, man.
Anything else
from this game?
Yeah.
No.
All right. So for the first time since 1984, the UMass Minutemen have opened a season with an FBS win. 1984. It's the last time UMass played a season opener against an FBS opponent and came out with a win. Man. How about them? Don Brown gets it done on the road at New Mexico State, 41-30. Bananas fourth quarter, as we talked. Wait, were we recording yet at that point? I don't think so, right?
No, I don't think we were.
Yeah, no, the fourth quarter itself probably deserves its own chapter. Thoughts and prayers to anybody with an under on this one. I mean,
oh my gosh.
Oh yeah. Oh, dude, it was 13-10 going into the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Final score for those who don't have a scoreboard pulled up or haven't seen it. It's UMass 41, New Mexico State 30. Gracious.
They-
Two teams that were trying at the beginning of this game to both not make mistakes and being so conservative with their approach. Game just went haywire in the fourth quarter. But UMass gets it done. And the road, what was it? Tom, you had the tweet. What's the road streak that was broken? 24 straight road losses.
24 straight road losses. Yeah, that's their first road win since 2018 at UConn, which, you know, I think, and then there was the most points they've scored in a game since 2019. And I think that was against UConn too. I can't remember. But yeah, no, it was UMass's best game in a very long time. And that is, I mean, they played like that score looks. Like that was the most talented. Like early in the game, I was watching that offense and I was like, oh my God, this team's not good at all. But they kind of settled in and they started playing well. And defensively, I thought they were playing like a Don Brown defense. I think they had a lot more speed than I only saw UMass a couple times last year, but like the players on the field just really weren't anything special, as you would expect from a team that played the way it did and had the record it had. But they just had actual, I don't want to call them dudes, but they have guys that are dude-ish. And it's just, yeah, they looked really good. I mean, there's really no other way to put it. I don't think they're going to win. They're going to go bowling or anything, but all the people that during the offseason were saying you got to take the UMass over 2.5, I think they're going to win their bets.
Well, I mean, for sure, now that they got this one, I would agree with you. Their offense really kind of looked bad for the most part, but then Tyson Fomachan would kind of just run around and make a couple things happen. They won this game with a 26% offensive success rate, which again is kind of wild that you're able to, you know, put up that kind of stats. The pick six and the early interception were basically the difference here, right? Like they I bet you if you charted out as far as like the EPA stuff, that's really kind of where it came from for UMass. But UMass does look like legitimately upgraded. Like UMass is probably not going to be the worst team in the country this year, right? Which for most of the last couple of years they have been. New Mexico State, man, just their offense just can't seem to sustain stuff, right? They hit a ton of explosive plays, a ton. I mean, they had an 80-yard rush, a 40-yard pass, 62-yard pass, a couple passes of 25 plus. But yeah, you're right. This game was absolutely bonkers. They had more yards in the fourth quarter than they had the first three quarters combined. Both guys. Oh, Vandy just hit another bomb. So I think they're gonna
Shepherd.
This.
It's a card.
No. Oh, it's a flag. We got a holding here. Swan's kind of walking around. I don't know. We'll see. I'm not sure if people like or don't like when we do the live commentary. Probably don't like. Yeah, like if you're Jerry Kill, this is pretty killer for the season. No pun intended, but it did work, I guess. You can't lose at home to UMass and accomplish your goals.
I think when you're throwing Diego Pavia out there at QB, like he'd be like the quintessential gamer. But you're going to live and die by him because when what he tries works, they can win. But he tries too much stuff that's not going to work. And that was the case a lot today. He had, the pick six was there. He had a couple turnovers. Like, he can't play the way he played today. And if New Mexico State wants to win a football game, that's really what it comes down to me.
Well, they put the Stowers kid in, the transfer from A&M, and did not allow him to throw a pass.
Mm-hmm.
He had 4 runs and, I don't know, probably 14 handoffs.
Yeah, that one handoff was like an 80-yard touchdown.
It was a great handoff. Tremendous handoff. Just look at the clean. Yeah, it was great.
San Jose State covered, by the way. Just throwing that out there.
Did they?
Go Spartans.
My apologies to the universe because I called Tyson Fomachan Kmart DJU today.
Yes, you did.
And man, he came through. He was a gamer. Talk about gamer. He was making him pay with his legs, and he threw some dimes. Had some big throws there. So congrats to Don Brown. Congrats to all the fine people of Amherst, as we talked about on the Locks podcast. That's a big win for the Minutemen. So
shout out to SEC on CBS sideline reporter and CBS Sports HQ host Jenny Dell getting the big win from the alma mater with her UMass-NMSU.
Hey,
Look at that.
That's right. She doesn't get to gloat a lot.
No.
Nah, like Hassel's got Iowa. Amanda Guerra's got Oklahoma. Jacqueline's got Florida.
And Jenny's got old Marcus Camby highlights.
Canada.
Old Marcus Camby.
Okay.
Is UMass bad at basketball now?
Yeah. I mean, they've pretty been, since Cal left, they've been pretty ordinary.
God, that's been a minute. All right.
Yeah.
Is this a Kevin Durant doesn't play for the Thunder?
Yeah.
John Calipari's not with UMass?
What the hell happened there? They were going so well.
Curtis Rourke scores 3-3. Was it it's first quarter, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, first quarter, goes down with an injury, leaves the game. And the difference between Curtis Rourke and his backup is just a cliff. I mean, it was last year after he goes down at the end of the season and Ohio's won so many games that they get to the MAC championship game, and we get to the MAC championship game and neither offense can do a daggum thing, and Ohio only scores 7 points against Toledo in that game. Like, this was a struggle to watch.
Mm-hmm.
I guess again, like I'm coming at these with like it's like the Jacksonville State UTEP situation where like San Diego State, look, you got the dub, but man, this was a different Ohio team than what we all thought we were going to get going into it. So what it is one of the more notable games of the day because we expect both of these teams to be top half in their conference, right? We cannot say that about every single game that we saw in terms of the matchup. What do we take away from San Diego State's win against
UMass is going to make a lot of noise in the independent conference.
The independent, yeah, sure.
I mean, yeah, kind of along the lines of what you're saying. If I'm San Diego State, like, you never want to take away too much from the first game of the season, even though that's exactly what we've been doing all night. But the fact that Curtis Rourke got knocked out of that game early and CJ Harris, the backup, finished 18 of 42 for 203 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions.
Oh, it's 3. Oh,
the fact you couldn't pull away and put them away at home, that is a concern to me. Like, if I'm San Diego State going forward, and frankly, if I'm Ohio, I'm sitting there thinking, well, if we get Rourke back, we'll be fine. And also, it could be a similar, like, the way I'm approaching this is it's the same as last year. Ohio was bad out of conference. Then the MAC season started, and they were just a wagon, and I was betting them every week. I will gladly take Ohio losing every non-conference game again until the MAC season starts, and then keep betting them again, as long as Rourke is healthy.
That is selfish.
Yeah, I mean, look, the defense for Ohio, I think San Diego State's offense might really kind of suck, but the defense for Ohio held up well enough. I mean, they allowed 5.3 yards per play to what I think most people would think is an upper half Mountain West Conference team. For Ohio, which had a bottom 5 defense, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, conservatively last year, like a bottom 5 defense in the country Ohio had, I think. For them to hold them under 5.5 yards of play with a kid as athletic as Jalen Maiden is legitimately pretty impressive. So good job to Ohio's defense. I mean, CJ Harris, 18 of 42 for 203 and 3 picks, 1 touchdown, and 9 rushes for 18. Now, granted, I know some sacks, and San Diego State's defense did a great job of teeing off, but Rourke was 8 of 10 for 75, right? Like, he was getting hit, but he was carving them.
Mm-hmm.
I think if Curtis Rourke stays in the game, Ohio wins the football game.
Oh, I agree.
So,
my wagon.
I don't have the chart pulled up, but there was something along the lines of Curtis Rourke had, completed 8 of his 10, 8 passes. And I think CJ Harris started out with 8 incompletions.
Yeah.
And the first one was an interception too.
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah. Or maybe it was like missed his first 8 passes or something. Like it was
completed.
It was sad. It was sad.
Ohio ran 84 plays in this game. Like San Diego State could not get them off the field a lot of the time, even with as bad as they were playing. So you put Curtis Rourke out there instead of Harris. I'm guessing Ohio gets at least 30 points.
Final, all the hays in the barn. USC 56, San Jose State 28. Not too much stat. Congrats to Tom on your lock win right there. We get 278 yards, 4 touchdowns for Caleb Williams. That's fine. We want to put him on the Heisman meter. Check a box, right?
Yep.
4 touchdowns. That'll do it right there. Currently, I've got Vanderbilt up 28-14, start of the 4th. I've got FIU still hanging on.
This Can I give you a stat line real quick? All right.
Oh, is it Grayson?
Yes.
Lay it on us. Yeah. This is
Grayson James, the FIU quarterback, through 3 quarters is 4 for 11 for 6 yards, and his team is winning.
Yeah, they started out kind of nice, and then their last 5 drives.
Yeah, they're
just gone. 0, 6, -10, 7, -6. So we're looking at.
I don't think I'm getting my over.
Thinking that's -3 yards over the last 5 drives, all of which were 3 and outs.
Yeah, I maybe it's the end of summer, but it just makes me think of tubing. You know, when you're just holding on and the boat's driving through the wake, and you can just feel that it's getting a little bit. I'm gonna let go soon. Oh gosh, I'm gonna let go soon.
Is there like a better yet simultaneously more terrifying feeling than when the tube hits the wake and you go flying into the air? Like you lose control, like you're no longer on the tube. It's like it's exhilarating and terrifying at the exact same time.
Yeah. If I'm upwards, I love it. If I'm going sideways, I'm horrified. Because then your body's going to skip. And then you might be taking some kind of spinal whiplash type situation. But yeah. When I pop up and I just let go, and then you just get to see. Yeah. I'll take that any day. All right. Anything else from the notepad we want to get out? I mean, I had planned on 30 minutes. We went for 48 already. So anything stand out we want to make sure we want to hit?
Is UMass going to upset Auburn next week?
That's an interesting game.
It's a lot more interesting now than it was 5 hours ago.
Hey, catch me on CBS Sports HQ repping Kmart DJU when I take UMass plus the points. Anything else? No.
I mean,
it's a 7-game slate.
We're averaging like what, 8 minutes per game, almost 7 minutes. No, like 6 minutes per game. It's pretty good.
Notre Dame, the biggest winner. Like if we are going to talk overall, who took today, Notre Dame lining up and mashing in a manner that, as we mentioned earlier, suggests that against 8 to 9 of the opponents that are left on their schedule are not going to be able to handle. It's going to be a little bit different.
Yeah.
Notre Dame's going to the playoff. Zach Branch is the new Reggie Bush, and Don Brown is coach of the year. That's what we take away from week 0.
What's this eyebrow thing I need to address?
Well, I mean, all right. So I was going to say, if you're watching on you, hey, by the way, actually, I had a great time with our subscribers. Dude, I didn't know how that was going to go. For those who are listening on the audio form, you're not subscribed on YouTube at youtube.com/cover3. We had a subscriber only YouTube live chat on Friday. We didn't put it out on social media. We didn't announce it on the podcast. We just threw it up there, and everybody who was subscribed with the notifications turned on, as we were telling you for weeks, came to hang out. Bunch of people came to hang out. More questions than we could even handle. And we are going to continue to keep doing that. So if you want to be a part of one in the future, make sure you smash that subscribe button. And again, I understand I'm a podcast guy. Like I throw the earbuds in and I do a lot of stuff. I go on my walks. But if you want to be a part of this, something special, just low key hanging out. We're just answering your questions, having fun talking about college football. Make sure you're subscribed. We're going to do it all throughout the season. I enjoyed that. It was a good time.
It was a good time. Chat wants to know about the clock rules. Did you guys find them bad, good?
I do have a take. Things moved faster between commercials.
What's the flag?
By the time a game ended, I don't think that I noticed a lot of games ending early.
Yeah, I go with that. Like, I think part of the problem for me is that the only standalone game was Navy Notre Dame, which kind of is going to skew the clock rules because of Navy's offense. It's like everything
and Notre
else
Dame's.
Yeah, and everything else was going on at the same time, so it was kind of really hard to, track what the real difference is. Touchdown Vandy, by the way. So I don't really have any strong feelings about the clock rules right now. The under's been pretty popular for the most part today, hasn't it?
It always is in week 1, though. Like
Yeah.
it seems, but yeah, I think it's pretty popular.
Yeah, no, the eyebrow thing was just because we're going big face here.
Oh,
and the problem
I think it's just shadows, y'all. I definitely don't do anything with my eyebrows.
No. It's that we're going big face and we have multiple screens.
Oh, and CBS got me a ring light, by the way.
And so the problem is if you're starting to look at your other screen and you've got big face, then it's going to be more noticeable. So
I like it.
Yeah, we're doing it. Thank you for everybody for hanging out. We absolutely love it. Again, smash the subscribe, smash the like. We appreciate it. And you can follow him on Twitter at Tom Fernelli. You can follow him at BudElliott3. You can follow me at Chip_Patterson. Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you.
See y'all.